Parenting 101. Uh, and I like to call it natural parenting, which most people probably never really heard of natural parenting because it's something that I made up. It is just going with the flow of everything that's going on to create a balance for the children, for your children. Because parenting is isn't about controlling your children as it is to help guide them toward specific directions and avenues so that they can learn and experience for themselves, because that's truly the only way that anyone learns and takes a hold of something is experiencing it and being aware and conscious of it. Anything else falls outside and they will not end up uh, taking a hold of it because it's not something that they're focusing on. It's not something they're interested in at that point because they didn't create the interest. The idea of natural parenting is to allow the child to create their own interests and to guide them uh, in that direction as you see fit for them, not for you, not for yourself, and anyone else. It's about the child. You have to look at the individual child when you're parenting. And that even goes if you have multiple children. You always have to look at them individually because they're all individuals and they're all going to be into different things, doing their own things. And that's, you have to learn how to switch in between them all. But that's a whole other conversation in itself. So, parenting, most people look at it as their kids are their slaves. That's how most parents treat their kids. Their kids are their slaves. They have to do what they say, follow orders, or they're going to get reprimanded. They're going to get in trouble. This is how people are raised in general. So they project that onto their kids and don't ever think about it. Again, because it's just to them, it's normal to them. It happened to them, so why wouldn't I? Isn't that how I'm supposed to parent? Why wouldn't I do that to my kid? It worked for me. I'm here. But these same people a lot of times say I'm not going to end up like my parents, and they end up exactly like their parents because they're trying not to do it. And when you try not to do something, you end up doing that exact thing eventually. It's attraction. And as parents, we're not supposed to be forcing our kids into awkward situations. It's supposed to be uh, allowing them to walk into the situations that they're comfortable in so that you can watch them blossom into their own being so that they're not so attached to you, which that's what this comes down to, is attachment, because how parents are, they make their kids uh, physically and mentally attached to them with a leash, basically like a chain, which keeps them around the parent. Why do you think so many children and families live in the same exact area and don't spread out? Because parents, a lot of times, think that their children should live around them because they have a backwards idea of parenting. It's not about holding your child in contentment through different mental entrapments and insecurities of your own and projecting them onto your children. It is allowing them to move wherever as they will and to support them in every way possible. Because a complete copy of you is going to truly give you no fulfillment because you've already seen it. This is why people go and watch TV and stuff, because they want to see something that they've never seen before. Well, if you would raise your child in a particular way so that they actually go and do whatever, anything, they literally can go do anything. If you can instill that into them and allow that to grow, then They are your entertainment. They are your TV. And the more children you have, the more entertainment you have at that point, because it's stories, it's experiences that you will be that they will share with you. And this really goes for anyone. This goes for relationships in general, but it's all about experiences. And the more you allow someone to be an individual, the more that you can learn from them and the more that you can experience through them, because they're doing something that you're not doing. Because if they're doing what you're doing, you've already did it, and it ends up getting into opinionated battle a lot of times in a debate, which is not a it's not a balanced natural environment. Nature ain't out here trying to debate with each other. They're not trying to say I'm right, you're wrong. You need to go do this or else. uh, which doesn't mean that there can't be boundaries with parenting, but it has to be conscious boundaries that you're creating for particular reasons and purposes. There has to be intention behind everything that you're doing when you're parenting. If you're not doing it consciously, you're doing it subconsciously, and that's not good at all for most people, because most people have a very broken and subjective subconscious, because it's just our subconsciouses are constantly bombarded with information, and if we're not aware of that and aware of where that information is coming from, our subconscious can rear its ugly head in front of us without us noticing it. And our children and people that we feel comfortable with are the ones that take that the most. This is why when you're in someone's house, in their family environment, it's a lot different than people see on YouTube a lot. It's not it's not ever just a perfect balance, because there's a lot of different energies going about, and there's going to be ups and downs in this way and that way. But it's how you navigate that, which is what changes everything. It's how you come out of it, because children are they're chaotic. They truly are. Because nature truly is chaotic. But that chaos also can be organized and guided in a way that can allow it to flourish for itself. It's like growing fermentation, making kombucha, sauerkraut, anything wild. You have to maintain it in a certain way, so that, especially in the environments that we're in, because there's a lot of negative energies, and in that case, bacteria and yeast in the air, molds that can affect your fermentation in a negative way. So you have to know that and know how to navigate and balance that out when you're fermenting something. Otherwise, it'll turn out rotten. It's going to go bad and spoil, because that's a lack of conscious focus. If you, like me, where I am, when I ferment something, I have to really pay attention to it, because there's a lot of mold in the air here in Illinois because of the poor soil quality. And if I don't just leave it there, it ends up complete garbage very quickly because of that. But if I tend to it and put my conscious towards it, it completely changes it, because our conscious has a much bigger energetic effect than most people realize. Our conscious awareness. So with parenting, it's best for most to be consciously aware as much as possible what you are doing, the intentions of what you're doing, and the purpose of it, and where you're going with it. For some that have a cleaner, more maintained subconscious, that's not as a necessity, because the things that are coming out of your subconscious then are not reactions or responses, anyways. That's the difference. It depends on how the subconscious is wired. Is it reacting or is it responding? And if it's reacting, that's going to come out towards your children, which it will anyways, if that's how your subconscious is, because of pre-programmed ideas. Like if something all of a sudden just happens, your child decides to start throwing a fit, a lot of parents will react to that, or they there's something sitting within their reach that you shouldn't have had there. They take and they throw it, they drop it, they start messing with it, and it breaks, or you just see them with it. A lot of parents will react to that, even though it's their own fault for having it in a place where they can get to it. That's not being consciously aware of your environment. And then at that point, your environment is your subconscious. So you go and maintain your environment, and you also help maintain your subconscious. See, the concept of parenting, it all comes down to the parent. It's all about the parent. It has very little to do with the child as they are. Now, there are definitely things that play into that depending on what the child has been through, of course, because that's experience. And once they have those experiences, they're going to hold on to that and continue that onward. But the parent can always help to change that through proper guidance, which that's what parenting means. The word means to guide. It means to guide your children into a direction for them. It means really is pair is to guide, and then ent is inside. So it's to guide from the inside. It's to help pull out what your child is out of them, which is it's like growing a tree. If you were to grow a tree, you're pulling out the essence of that seed and creating a whole new uh, life form from it with its own structure and originality based on the environment that it's grown in, the type of water you're using, the type of soil. I mean, there's so many different factors that play into it. And this is growing any plant. That same uh, that plant that seed came from, and you just cut off a branch of it and grew it, you actually just clone the tree. The same exact thing, which this is how a lot of parents go about parenting, is cloning themselves. They're just giving their own insecurities to their children, which then just makes them you. That's all it does. Which we don't want clones out here. We want individuals. We want individuals because individuals will do something with themselves and their environment. Clones will not, because they don't know how to do anything besides what they were taught, because they carry baggage. Hoarders, mental hoarders, physical hoarders. Uh, so it's all about pulling out what your child actually is and presenting that to them. So it's up to you as a parent to realize this is what my child is into. And you have to do that through different means, through giving them certain things, different things, seeing what sparks them the most, seeing what they're interested in the most, seeing what they stick with more than the other things. And I like to do this in the most natural way possible because I like using natural materials, things that are from nature or made of things from nature. I don't like getting into inorganic materials with my children at all. I don't really like plastics too much. The society we're in, it's difficult to not use a lot of these things altogether, but I go at it from a very natural standpoint in a holistic sense, not just a mentally natural standpoint of how I balance and move throughout my life with them, but also what I present to them. Like all of their toys that they have are made of wood, mostly not painted wood, no finish on them. Um, because that's what I do. But all of us are in different environments, and you just have to do the best of what you can in your environment. There's no right or wrong way to go about it, because the real thing that we need to and want to do is instill the child with a sense of security in what they are. And we do that by giving them all these different things, seeing what they like and what they don't like, and facilitating a path for them to go down and flourish in whatever that is. And this is going to happen in many different ways with many different things. And that's really all the parent is doing the whole entire time, from a infant to the time when they're comfortable to be on their own doing their own thing, which is at whatever age that may be. Because they say that our brains aren't matured fully until like what, 20 something. I think that's just because of the mental abuse that we get thrown in first of all, it has to do with the schooling system, which is, I can make a whole separate video on that. But the fact that they have to be in that until 18, that's already going to keep the development of the brain going in a way that, look at, the brain's always developing, but at a point it gets to a stability of this is who I am. And when you're in school, you're not ever settled with who you are until you get out, because there's too much energy going on around. There's way too many things going on, too many hormones, too many personalities. It is a terrible place for children to be. It is complete poison. And uh, it only adds to the longer development of the brain. A child should be pretty self-sufficient, um, probably I would say by the age of 15 or 16, if they are given the tools, the tools to be themselves and to express themselves. That's what it really comes down to, is expression of self. That is the job of the parent. That's not the job. That is the work of the parent. Once you do that, you're done. Now they are, which they always were your equal. That's not that they never were your equal. Now they can actually, you can give them the responsibility to guide themselves at that point, which you do this throughout the whole process as well, because when a child decides to take responsibility for something, that's when you give them responsibility for it. Until they decide to do that, well, then you have to hold on to that responsibility and guide them towards taking control of it. Like, a lot of kids don't like to go to bed. It's because they have to wake up at certain times and go to bed at certain times, and there's a lot of reasons why they don't want to go to bed. Things that they're eating, the things that they're watching, doing, it's very activative, and a lot of kids have a hard time relaxing, which is funny that when I was making this video, almost every tag suggestion that I had was about ADHD. Everything. I didn't have anything about ADHD in my title besides parenting, but almost everything was about parenting ADHD children, which that in itself is like its own. There's so many reasons that a child would have what ADHD is, and medication will never correct any of it, but pretty much hide you from what your child ever can actually be. But I'm not going to get into that here. I thought that was interesting. But if your child is guided properly, given the correct tools to relax, if they don't have to go and do things, if they can do things at their own pace and leisure, then they're going to go to sleep at their own pace and leisure. They're not going to be up all night, because children need rest, and children will sleep when they are tired. I will promise you that. All of them do. All of them do. All of them go to sleep when they're tired. You try to lay down your child at a specific time is to create a separation between you and them, because you're showing that you have control over them. That you need to go do this now every day or else. And then most parents slowly bring that back as they get older and go through different grades of schooling. It doesn't matter. You're not really giving them a responsibility at any point for a while, because kids don't want to get up and go to school. So once your child accepts responsibility of, I'm sleepy, I'm going to go to sleep, that's it. Just let them have it. They can go to sleep when they're tired. Then now, if you notice that they're trying to stay up with you for some reason, and not going to sleep, well, then do something about it, which doesn't mean necessarily even to make them just go to sleep. It's to facilitate an environment so that they can go to sleep. Turn all the lights off, play some relaxing music, calming, do some stretching with them, some breathing exercises to help calm them down and bring them to a grounded state. Go stand outside on the ground with your bare feet. There's a lot of things you can do to help bring a child to a grounded state. Um, to fall asleep easier. Lay down with them. There's nothing wrong with that. You can lay down with them and then get back up after they fall asleep. If you really want to, you might find that you actually want to go to sleep at that point. But to just tell a child to go, it's 9 o'clock, you gotta go to sleep, get ready for bed. It's crazy. It's crazy. My daughter is 9 and she goes to sleep usually between 9 to 10 every day, just because that's when she wants to go lay down and go to sleep. She goes up, she does her oil pulling on her own, brushes her teeth afterwards on her own, she goes to sleep. Because we instilled that into her. And it's another thing a lot of parents have a hard time dealing with is getting your kids to brush their teeth, which it all comes from being a responsive parent, because that's what it means to be responsible. It's to be responsive. It's not to react. It's not to lash out and go, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop screaming. No, we're in public. You're embarrassing me. Don't do that. You're screaming. No. Be calm, because you're in this situation for a reason as well. Everything happens to all of us for a reason. Nothing's by mistake. There's no coincidences. Be calm and work through it in a balanced manner, and you both will be better for it in the end. Because reacting is only instilling your insecurities into your children, and then they're gonna start reacting, and they do quickly. And if you can really see it, you'll notice it. You'll notice it. And it takes practice. Not practice. It takes conscious effort and awareness. Not practice. It takes conscious effort and awareness to do this, to make this happen. There's no shortcut. There's no shortcut to do anything fully and responsibly. Never has been, never will be. You know, I should, there's no shortcut, but there are shorter routes that can be taken. You can't just cut like straight through the middle, but you can redefine and recreate the route so it's shorter. But when you first start doing something, there's always a bit of a longer process that you're going to take to do it than when you refine and get that tip, that fine point, so that you can do it in a sharper manner, so it's faster. It's like mental training with your mind. It's so that you can do it faster, so that you can do it more efficiently with less thought towards it, because your subconscious then knows how to do it, which that's how athletes are so good, as muscle memory. It's not they're not practicing, they're doing something. They're doing something. There is no one out here that is doing something at a professional level practicing. They're doing something through repetition, repeating, consciously aware, with purpose and attention, responsibly, to get a response out of it, so that they can see what happened, and then you can tweak, shave down, change, sharpen, whatever you need to do, those techniques, and do it again. But pay attention and see what happened with it, because there might be something else you can do to help alleviate some of that extra baggage that is taking extra energy that you don't need. This is where you get different levels of professional athletes, because it's that attention to awareness that really sets someone that's this is professional athlete, that sets someone that's a professional at something from someone that really has that awareness and focus towards it. That's all it is. It's as simple as being aware of what you're doing. You can be aware of what you're doing when you're parenting, which parenting is that's that's I don't want to say it's more difficult than any sport, but it takes a lot more awareness. There's a lot more things going on with parenting because than sports than most things out here, because parenting is not just you and your own insecurities and who you are and what your experiences are and what you've been through that you have to maintain and refine and work on in a sense and sharpen. But now you have to do it with a child, multiple possibly, and you have to also start from nowhere with that for the most part. Like even this video, I'm giving you ideas on how to do this, but you still have to go and do it. You still have to go and get that conscious awareness to do this with your children. Me saying it isn't going to give you that. It's only going to give you the ability to let me go do this. Let me go do this and see what I can do with it. And you can take this and go anywhere with it. But with parenting, there's so many more things going on because it's everything. It's everything in life. There's you have to the baby. It's caring for the baby, um, knowing what they need. I mean, I can go back to the birthing thing. I'll get into that in a whole separate thing. There's ingestion. What should child be eating? Should they be eating? At what point should they be eating? Breastfeeding, which how long should you breastfeed? These are all things that you need to figure out for yourself, but I have my own ideas and opinions. I'll make my own videos on them, but there's so many things that go into this. Who should your child be around? Who who should you leave your child with, if anyone? Who should you? Should you leave your child with anyone? At what age should you? Um, how close of an eye are you going to keep on your child? Are you going to like hawk over them, or are you going to let them run as far as they want and then see how far that is and go about it that way? That's how I do it. But some parents would have a problem doing that from their own experiences as children and adults. Um, just random people, random things that happen around. All of this information is like swirling around everywhere. It's insane. TV, like, that's a whole thing in itself. TV, watching TV with electronics, the internet. What should your child watch, if anything? Should they watch anything? Um, there's so many things, so many things. Sleeping, school. What about school? Should they go to school? Should they not? How do I educate them? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? I don't know what to do because this is all crazy, and it seems useless. But they're telling me I need it. It's overwhelming. It very much is if you try to take it all on at once. But luckily, you don't have to because the child isn't going through all this at once. There's developmental stages, and you follow those stages, and you stay honed in on that and guiding them as you see fit as they grow. And the easiest way that I found to do this is just simplify it as much as possible in every regard. To and this helps protect your child from a lot of outside energetic forces that can have a negative influence on them and pull them in a direction that now you have to try to guide them back towards where you see that they actually themselves would like to be, but they're getting kind of pulled through a sense of someone else's insecurity and them. It's natural for us to feel empathy, and children are extremely empathetic because they haven't been scarred with the insecurities and the mental uh, entrapments of the society that we're all living in right now. But once they start to see that in other people, they feel the empathy in it, and they feel bad, and they want to help them. It's natural. It's natural for a child want to help someone. at any age. Um, and that's why it's the parent's job to protect them from that, which the easiest way is to simplify it as much as possible. Be very aware of the age of your child, how comfortable they are being in places with a bunch of people. We didn't take our children to public, like family get-togethers for a while. We didn't even allow our outside of our immediate family. We don't even, when we have a new baby, we do not allow them to come and see our newborn for at least a month. Honestly, I would go longer. I would absolutely go longer. And we may this time. We'll see, because other people want to see your child out of their own personal uh, desires, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. But know that other people only want to see your children out of their own personal desires and purposes. They're selfish, which we all are. And know that, though, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if there's their grandma or grandpa or on either side. It doesn't matter if it's their aunt, uncle. It doesn't matter. It's all out of personal desire and selfish wants, because that's how most people go about things. That's not going to be all people. That is going to be the wide majority of people, though, just because of the society that we are in. And it's very apparent when you don't allow your your mother, my mother, to come see your child, and they get upset because of that when they're a newborn. It's very apparent that it's out of selfish needs and desires, because they're not listening to you at all. And when someone stops listening to you and what you're saying to have any respect for you, that's where you've got to go into I'm protecting my child mode. Like, you ain't doing this. You have to actually look like the bad person to everyone. You're going to, especially if you're doing something for your child. You are going to look uh, very out there to most people, because you're going out of your way to do everything for your child that you can to facilitate their growth as much as possible. And people don't do that. People don't do that at all. Um, Protecting them from eating certain foods from like this time of the year, Christmas. Do you even want to celebrate it? How do you want to go about that? Because a lot of us were raised with the idea that Santa Claus is real and he brought presents and all of this stuff. Do we really want to lie to our children like that? Is that really a good idea to do that? Is it a good idea to just give them all of these freaking toys? All these toys at this time? Isn't the holidays about the whole holy, about getting whole, holistic, healthy? Isn't that what it's about? Not about getting toys. Gifts are one thing, toys are something else. Toys are just one type of gift. A gift can be mental or physical. I would say a gift is something that is more of something that can be used as a necessity almost, rather than uh, something extra that ends up sitting there. Like most families think that children don't like getting clothes. Well, that's not true. It's the idea that was instilled in them that they only get toys now. So they get upset when they get something other than that. It's expectations that were created, and now you gotta live with those expectations that you created. It's We put ourselves through hell with our children. If we consciously start as soon as we can guiding them in a simple manner with as few things as they need, and then some extra things for them to further experience as they grow, it's going to be a lot easier to parent, because you don't have to deal with as many things with them then. Kids don't need a lot of clothes. They don't need a lot. It allows them to pick out their clothes, it allows them to easily do it, and it allows you to have to do less clothes. There's no reason to have a bunch of different clothes. It's it's extra clutter. Same with toys. Just have the see what your child plays with and go with that type of go with those type of toys. Because a lot of kids like to play with things that have to do with building, not all these extra flashy plastic things. They like wood blocks. Most kids would be completely content with just wood blocks because children really don't care, especially when they're at a such a young age, because they're simple. They're very simple. Like a newborn baby, all they want is to breastfeed. They don't want a damn thing else. They'll cry because they're giving you a signal. They want breast milk. It's that simple. And then you just keep going with that as they grow, just adding one thing at a time and being consciously aware of how they interact, what they do with it, and go on from there. Like me with Ava, our oldest one, she's extremely into art. So that's what I do with her. I get her things for art. I get her different mediums for her to try, see what she likes. Like I just bought her oil pastels, and she's playing around with those now. I got her a book on she is very much into reading as well, so I got her a book to teach her about oil pastels and how to use them, and then I also got her a set of them, and she sits there and does that because she that's what she likes to do. That's me facilitating what she enjoys, um, and guiding her towards that direction with my energy because I'm the one going out of my way to find and do that stuff for her, which I do freely. uh, but this video is going on longer than I really wanted to make it. That's really the whole idea of natural parenting. It is to guide your children in a direction that you see growth for them, not for you, not for someone else, for them as an individual, and for them to be an individual and to actually at some point grow themselves, because uh, that's what a tree will do. When you are growing a tree, like if you have a big open environment and you are growing a tree in just the middle of in the grass, you have to maintain that tree because there's a lot of things that can happen to it in that type of environment. It's not in its natural environment. You have to maintain and be responsible for that tree for quite a few years until it matures to a point where it can actually start growing on its own and you don't have to do anything with it anymore. It's the same with your children. You're growing a tree. It's just a moving tree that has a lot more energetic uh, energies coming at it, a lot more energies coming at it in different directions, in different ways, because they're moving, you're leaving, you're coming, you're bringing this, you're taking that, you're going all these different ways and directions with all these different things. With the tree, you're not. It's there in your yard. You know exactly the environment. You know what you're doing with it. It's more of a routine with that. With your children, it is a routine, but you have to get down to the basic of what that routine is for you, which is to be consciously aware and respectful and responsible for everything that is going on in your world and in their world, because they are a part of your world until you show them how to be in their own world. And it takes a lot more to do that, because that simplicity of that ends up coming out in many different forms because of the complexity of this actual physical realm out here. There's just a lot of things going on out here because of the movement of everything. And that doesn't happen when there's a tree in the middle of the yard. There's no movement. With the sun, everything's moving around it at that point. It's hard for people to see that with themselves, that everything's moving around you. It is, but can you see that? And it's hard to. So it takes a lot of conscious awareness to be a good parent. It's really what it comes down to, is conscious awareness and refining and being responsible for everything that occurs with your child, because it is because of you. Because of you. Everything. And that's it for this live stream. I will be doing other videos on parenting specifically. This is just the first one I wanted to do to get this out there, and to get people thinking about this and give me suggestions with which way you would like me to go with this. I can go in any direction with this at this point. I can go to a more mental way and how to really do this mentally. I can go to a more physical way in many different ways with food, education. I can go all the way down to pregnancy, being um, that process. I can go into a lot of things because I've been through this a few times now. I'm very aware of what's going on throughout the whole entire process, and it all intertwines. But all this has to also be broken down individually so that we can see everything that's occurring in all these different paths, and then link them together in our world so that we can actually move through it in a um, efficient manner without gassing ourselves, without just running out of energy every day. We should have enough energy. We should have more than enough energy to make it through the day without uh, having to fall down at the end of the day, being so tired. But that's it for this one. Anyone that made it this far, why haven't I got a thumbs up? Give me a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Uh, I will probably be posting these videos also on Natural Prana, or my other channel that I used to do with Nikki that we haven't really uploaded anything on recently. I'm gonna post them on both of these channels, so you may see them on there if you're subscribed to both. And also look at the chat real quick here. Which actually I'm gonna change the name of that channel too. Right now it's Natural Prana, but it was a fungus net. It's going to be something else, which I'll let you know what I change it to. I don't remember what I was gonna change it to. Natural Ive. That's what it is. Natural IVE. Natural live. Natural Live is what it is. But Natural IV is what it's going to be. Your Samsung tablet told me I'm so cute. Wow, I got a Samsung tablet telling me that? That's crazy. It exactly is that. Once you can get it down to a meditative practice, which you can do that with everything, it becomes second nature to you. You don't even have to be aware at that point. You don't have to really think about it, because thinking about it is to help refine yourself through. You're aware of what's going on so that you can take that in, and then you respond to it by mental thinking to refine your idea of how you can do it to make it better and sharper. But then you go out and execute that idea. That's the process of growing into making it just a pure meditation where this is just what happens. Because to meditate is just let your subconscious take over and just go with it, see what happens. Just let me just throw myself out there into the water and see how I behave, and then go about it from there. Because that's how you do a lot of things that people are scared to do. You just have to throw yourself out there to the sharks and see what happens. Yes, that you can give me a thumbs up. Come on. All right. Thank you for Junie for stopping by. Uh, I I knew you wouldn't miss this. Of course not. And I will end this one here. I got 6 people watching, 6 thumbs up. Not bad. And I will I'll speak to everyone another time. I think I might do another video on something completely unrelated after this, but if you're interested in whatever I end up talking about in that, you may want to come back, but it's not going to be parenting related. And have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Go enjoy it. It's warm here. It's supposed to be winter, but it don't seem like it's too wintry out.